Welcome, subscribers. We are talking with Steve Willner from Labyrinth of the Psychonaut.blogspot.com. We're having a great conversation here, and I want to continue from our previous hour. What I want to begin with in this segment here is actually talk about the word that you have right in your address to your website or to your blog, Psychonaut. I read that it means basically sailor of the soul. Don't know if this is the interpretation you've done, Steve, but when you went with that word, what was what was your background, or what was your intention, so to speak, with using that?
Of course, I knew the sailor of the soul definition of it. I think it kind of identified with a lot of my personality, but I think really where I got it from was Ben Fairhall put a link on his Battling the Behemoth blog, and he referenced me as a psychonaut, and I thought I just kind of stuck. It just kind of stuck around. It really sort of added to the labyrinthian type of discussions that I always ended up having with my friends who would last hours and hours until the sunrise sometimes. So that coupled with the psychedelic experience that I've always been fascinated with, I feel like it's our one sort of door to enlightenment that we have. That's readily available to us to do at any time, to sort of just delve into alternate states of consciousness, and tying in together all of the research that I do as far as synchronicities and as far as stargates, and I thought that it really sort of summed up what my research implies.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about psychedelics. This seems to be a point where many people derive their inspiration from. What's your background with it, in case you want to talk about it? Of course, I know it's a very personal thing, and definitely that the experiences are very personal, but do you want to elaborate a little bit on it?
Sure. I mean, I've always been really fascinated with alchemy. I've had experiences with psychedelics, LSD, and I've actually tried DMT before as well. It seems to basically represent, as Daniel Pinchback would say in his works, a realm that's completely devoid of human interaction, meaning that it's not anything that we're creating with our minds. It's not anything of sort of the carbon-based biological consciousness. It's sort of a realm that's devoid of those things. And when you visualize it, when you're on a psychedelic such as those, you completely are taken to a realm that's beyond alien, beyond the explanations of mathematics or of physics or of conscious thought or of any human things, of things that grow or live, or they're just completely devoid of those things. But yet they still have this brilliance and this amount of sort of mandalic order to them that just really makes them completely supernatural and amazing. And I think it's every human being's right. That's why you see toddlers sort of spinning around when they're real little, trying to get dizzy. It's almost inane. It's embedded in us to want to achieve those states of consciousness. And there's lots of other instances that can get you there. You don't need to take sort of the, basically, Buddhist monks can achieve those sort of states through meditation. And then there's also the monatomic gold, or M state, that I research quite a bit. I don't know if you've ever read or listened to his works, but Lawrence Gardner, the author of the Lost Secrets of the Sacred Ark, I just find that to be some of the most fascinating stuff on the planet right now. That has to do with M state or Shamana or Mufscut, or the Egyptians used to imbibe this. They used to take the monatomic elements or the monatomic gold in ritual. They would take it in these sort of loaves with frankincense, and then they would go into the pyramids, which are anything but tombs, and they would lie down in sort of rock, granite, and salt water, and they would take this large amount of M state gold, and then they would just lie in these sarcophaguses, and they would drop out like Bombay doors, and they would basically go into a stargate, alternate dimensions, and these are elements that are completely sort of forgotten to our culture. It's almost absurd, and yet we still kind of hold such a strong value to gold. It's really astonishing, basically, that the days of Moses in ancient Egypt, gold was clearly in large scale use, as replicated for a while in Imperial Rome and Russia as well. Today, however, we're comparatively swamped with gold, but it's barely noticeable. Where is it all? As a symbol of wealth and success, it's mainly confined to like jewelry or commemorative coins or watches or trinkets or the like. I mean, we hoard it in mass quantities. We vault it and take it out of circulation to raise its value a little bit in the stock market. But ultimately, it's not even backed by our currency. Our currency is not backed by, silver or gold anymore.
That's
Yet
right.
still on the tip of people's minds, they find gold to be sacred in some way.
Mm-hmm.
It's forgotten that it's sacred because it's a road or route to enlightenment in this form, in this monatomic form. And it's really quite, profound, the physics behind it, how these particles can be separated and have instantaneous kind of, traverse space-time instantaneously, where one bit of the molecule will alter its polarity on one end of the globe, and you could have the other molecule at the other end of the globe, and it'll flip simultaneously. So sort of like, Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, just complete transportation. Now that's completely amazing in sort of the context of, traveling the stars and, even in our cars to get from one place to the other instantaneously. But imagine what that does to your DNA, and imagine what it does to your neurons if you take this kind of compound on a regular basis. And I myself I have tried, I've been contacted by, several alchemists, through my site, which is quite interesting. I've had amazing conversations with these people where they actually think that they've derived the Philosopher's Stone and that it's sort of tied to the biogenetics of the people creating it. And some of them send me samples, and I do try them. But I think ultimately the secret to monatomic gold lies within the study of alchemy. You really have to learn this kind of for yourself and test the boundaries of it yourself to kind of get this mufscut. And the Egyptians, they basically, it was more than a religion. That was what they called their work. That was their workship to create this for the pharaohs and the gods. And it kind of created, longer lifespans for those involved. Similar to the honeybees, I guess, with royal jelly, how the queens only fed royal jelly. None of the other workers get to eat it. And the queen bees always have a longer, lifespan. They're always projected into a healthier, sustainable environment. And it's not just derived from gold. It's in seawater. It's in trace amounts in raw vegetables. I don't know if you've ever I'm a meat eater, but I don't know if you've ever taken just a raw vegetable fast before. But there's a trace amounts of end state in that, and that, science will tell you that cures cancer, and that gets rid of all the horrible bacteria and nonsense going on in your body that is just building up on a regular basis. You go on a raw diet where you just eat raw greens and just completely compressed fruits for, a few weeks, you're a different person at the end of it. You really feel invigorated, and it's not just, an exaggeration. You're almost a different person. So think of Mufscut or M-State Gold as a concentrated version of that. And that just starts to boggle the mind. What if everybody on the planet decided to take that into their hands to learn those secrets? And it would just aid in the speed of this evolutionary process to such a degree. It would be so amazing and profound, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, exactly. I've heard a little bit about that, and a few people have mentioned that they don't feel anything at all or any different, while others are having, very, heightened, awareness and.
Again, this boils down to what elements these people are imbibing and where the source is and where they're getting it from, which is why I stress that alchemical secrets are closely guarded and they're difficult on purpose. They're not for just some, soccer mom to find on the internet and, live to be 175. It's something that you really have to work towards and kind of meditate over and make sure that it's right in the spiritual realm. And that's all part of the alchemical process. It has to do with the alignment of certain celestial bodies. Like, for instance, I had some alchemical friends that did a lot of experiments during the Grand Hexagon. Were you aware of that occurrence? It's where the inner planets up until Saturn basically aligned to make this gigantic hexagon in 2003.
Okay.
Now, those kind of things, I was always very hesitant to believe in horoscopes or that the heavenly bodies have anything to do with sort of this reality, but in fact they do. I mean, it's kind of hard to dispute that all of these kind of polygons in the holographic universe, kind of interact with each other on some level. So, people born within a sign of a certain horoscope do exhibit certain traits of the passing of the, certain planetary bodies at the time. And I always find it fascinating, coupled with the hollow Earth research, possibly the hollow moon or the artificial moon that we have in our orbit right now.
Oh yeah,
it's almost absurd. Some of the findings that they have of the moon. I don't know how verifiable or accurate Hoagland's research is on the moon, but he says that there are, gigantic hexagrammic, cavities in the center of the moon that might perpetually be engines or that it was artificial. I do know that our moon has the oldest rocks ever studied in the solar system. It's older than Earth. It's way older than Earth. It's like 5 billion years old. Or, I don't know. I don't know the exact math of it.
Sure.
I just know that it's extremely old, way older than Earth is, and it just exhibits so many signs of being, artificial. So many strange bridge-like objects and monoliths and just bizarre things. Not to mention the fact that we went there in the 60s, and what the hell have we been doing, Henrik? We're just it's great that we have a space station. It's great that we spend billions of dollars on these little rovers and everything. But what are we doing? We were supposed to go to Mars in the 70s or the 80s. What the hell is going on?
Something weird is going on.
Are we supposed to believe that we just completely stopped trying to explore the universe?
Yeah.
What I think is they went to the moon, or they tried to go to the moon, and there was people there already, and they told them to get the hell off the moon.
Exactly.
There's bases, or there's a civilization that's like, you're not nearly evolved enough, young little monkeys, to come out this far yet. Go back to the drawing boards and come back again. And we really haven't gone back to the drawing boards, or at least not in the public eye, possibly privately, funded.
Exactly. Exactly. That seems to be the underlying current, and a lot of people have picked up on this fact that there seems to be either kind of a dual space program going on. We have two separate going, and basically the
Jack
one.
Parsons. I'm not to interrupt, but Jack Parsons, I think, was in charge of who of course was related to or had correspondence with Aleister Crowley. He actually him and von Braun designed or had projects for a spaceship within the spaceship, or a shuttle that would go do secret missions after the shuttle was already up in the air. So all this stuff has been documented as fact, and these things have occurred. It's just incredible. And there's moons of Saturn that are bizarre too, like Iapetus, and has hexagons all over it. It looks again like the Death Star. It looks like some kind of fake artificial object in the sky. You have Phobos and Deimos, orbiting Mars, that a lot of people in the conspiracy circles say are sort of like control dock stations for Nibirans or something. They look so odd. They're barely moons. They're just like sort of these large meteors that barely hold on to the orbit of Mars. It's just very strange. And there's all kinds of symbolic things that correspond with synchromysticism too, with the moons and their names. I know JB at the Metalogic Cafe just had this interesting article about Saturn's innermost moon being named Pan, and how it sort of keeps the rings of Saturn separated from each other, and it sort of keeps the mythological notion of Pan intact as what its actions are doing as the moon. And it's just like, who names these bodies what, and why are they named all these strange things,
Exactly, yeah, exactly, definitely right there. There's so many things regarding the name of the planets, and even the name of the shuttles that are going up, and it's all written in mythology.
Sure, Atlantis, Endeavor, just all these bizarre names for our spaceships, which, by the way, is another archaic looking device. We've been still using the same shuttle, or made to believe in the public eye that we're still using those shuttles. They look like like Stone Age relics by what we should have by current technology, by what we're doing with computers and nanoscience and
That's right, but again, I think this was Hoagland who brought this up in one of his articles about the Millennium Shift, and he actually did a very interesting correlation between how the rocket looks and actually a sign or a symbol that was on a mask of the Dogon tribe down in South Africa that allegedly had contact with people from Sirius, and they have had intricate knowledge of how that particular star, that dual binary star system, was laid out. And
this was on the emblem of the craft, you say?
This was on a mask that the Dogon tribe had for many years, many generations. Okay. A symbol that actually looked exactly like basically exactly like the rockets that are going up into space. So he had this idea, or elaborated on this idea, that there is a kind of communication going on, not even with not only with the names and of the craft that are going up, but also actually of the shape of the craft itself, meaning that there is some kind of respondence that we know about your myths, we've carried this on, and now we're even building these rockets ourselves, So it's
sure. I mean, the whole